Hello everybody, and this side Vanshika, and you are watching my channel Knowledge World. So today's video is based on the science chapter of classics NCERT book, and the chapter's name is Living Organisms and Their Surroundings. So in this chapter we are going to learn about the living organisms, their surroundings, adaptations and habitats. So please be with us throughout this video to gain each and every knowledge about this chapter's concepts. Now let's move on with the chapter. Organism, living creature. It means that an organism is a living creature. Living organisms are found everywhere on the earth, as you can see in these different kinds of pictures. Polar bear, different kinds of birds, animals, fishes, camels, cattle, and etc. Habitat. Now what is a habitat? The natural living place of an organism is its habitat, means the place where the organism is living naturally. It is called its habitat. So an organism depends on its habitat for food, water, air and shelter. An organism depends upon their habitat, means their living place for their food, water, air, shelter and other normal facilities. So an organism is dependent upon its habitat for food, water, air and shelter. Several kinds of organisms are found in a habitat. So a living place is habitat to several kinds of organisms, meaning living creatures. Now we have studied about habitat. Now what is adaptation? The presence of special features in or certain habitats which enable a plant or an animal to live in its surroundings is called its adaptation. So in an organism there are several special features which are present. There are certain habits also in the plants or in the animals which enable them to live in their natural surroundings, in their natural habitat, and these special features are termed as adaptation. Now moving on, terrestrial habitat. Now comes the types of habitat, and terrestrial habitat is the first kind of habitat we people are going to study. So what is terrestrial habitat? As the name suggests, if the habitat is on land, it is called terrestrial habitat. As terrestrial, the word terrestrial means on land. So the habitat, those are situated on land, are called terrestrial habitat. Examples of this kind of habitat are desert, forest, grassland, mountains, since they all are situated on land. So these are kind of terrestrial habitat where plants live and depend for food, water, etc. Then comes desert, as you can see in this image. So examples are cactus, agave, date palm, as you can see in this picture. This orange color plant is flowers are coming on the cactus. This agave plant is here and the date palm is here. Now desert plants and adaptations of desert plants which enable them, means adaptations which enable them to live in the desert. So what are such features? Now we are going to learn about them. So the first feature is leaves are absent or reduced or modified into spines to reduce water loss by transpiration. As you know that a desert is a dry place and there we need to reduce the water loss. So such plants are not having leaves. In such kind of plants, leaves are absent, reduced or modified into spines, as you can see in the cactus image. In the cactus image, the leaves are absent and they are modified spines to reduce the water loss. So this is the first feature or first adaptation which enable these desert plants to live in or to survive in deserts. Now the second is stem is green and does photosynthesis. Their stem is green and so it provides the food, does photosynthesis, as photosynthesis is a food making process. You can see in the picture also. The third adaptation is stem stores water so it is thick and fleshy. Deep root system to collect maximum water from the deep soil. This is the fourth adaptation. And the fifth one, thick waxy layer on stem prevents water loss. Here is a thick waxy layer on the stem which prevents water loss in the deserts. And what are the adaptations of desert animals which enable them to live there? So as you know that the camel is the ship of desert, and now we are going to study about its adaptations. So the first adaptation of camel is camel has long legs to keep the body away from hot sand. You can see in the picture also the camel is having long legs, and this is because to prevent its body from the hot sand. The second is it stores food as fat in its hump. The hump is a bit blushed out part, as you can see in this image also. So the camel has stored food in the hump as fat. We can see this protruding part on its body also. So it is storing food there. It can store water in its body, we all know, and a camel can even store 30 gallons of water in its body. And here is the fourth adaptation of camel, and that is hoofs of a camel well suited for walking on sand. You can see in the second image that the hoofs of a camel are suitable for walking on the sand. Such hoofs are present in camels, and long eyelashes. In the first image you can see there are long eyelashes to prevent sand from falling into the eyes. So these are such adaptations which enable the camel to live in deserts. Some animals remain in burrows during the day and comes out during night. So there are some desert animals who remain all day long into the burrows and come out during the night time. These are the pictures of those animals. This is how they live in the burrows. Second is the mountain regions. So let's read about it. Mountain trees grow in conical pattern with sloping branches, help snow to slide down. So here you can see in this image there are conical shaped trees. These are the mountain trees, means these are the trees which are found in the mountain regions. In the mountainous regions such type of trees are found, and they are of conical shape. So why they are of conical shape? This is also a kind of adaptation which enables them to live in such kind of an environment. So when in the mountainous region, you know, they are more prone to snowfall. So when there is a snowfall, the snow can slide easily down from such sloping structures. That's why they are having conical shape. Second, they have needle shaped leaves which helps water and snow to slide down. Similarly, they are having needle shaped leaves. The leaves are of needle shape so that they can prevent the water and snow which is accumulated there to slide down. Animals in the mountainous region, what kind of adaptations they are having? Let's read about it. Snow leopard. Now we are going to read about snow leopard. You can see in this picture, you might have seen this animal before. A snow leopard is white in color and can hide in the environment. It can camouflage with its environment. It is of white color. Thick fur to protect from cold. It is having a thick layer of fur on its body which keeps its body warm and protect it from the cold. Then claws to prevent slipping on the surface of snow. It is having such claws which prevent it from slipping on the snowy surface. Now comes mountain goat, which is the second mountainous animal. It has thick white fur, as you can see in this picture, to protect from cold conditions. And second is strong hoofs for running up the rocky slopes. In the mountains there are rocky slopes also, so such strong hoofs are there with the mountain goat, which helps it to run fast and on the rocky slopes. Next come the yak. Yak, long thick fur of yak protect it from severe cold in the winter. When there is severe cold, then there is such a coat on the body of the yak to protect it from the severe conditions. Now come the grasslands. Grasslands, we are going to study about lion. Light brown color helps to hide in grassland. You can see in this picture also that the lion is of light brown color, and it is because that it helps such color helps it to hide in the grass and in the grassland, in fact, and helps it to camouflage with the environment. Second is the long claws, which can be withdrawn inside. Long claws to hunt its predator also. Both the eyes in front of the head gives correct idea about the location of the prey, so it can correctly guess that where the prey is, where is the prey's location, and can hunt it. Now comes the deer. Now comes the deer in the grasslands part. Can run faster to escape from the predators. So a deer can run very fast to escape from its predators. Second, strong teeth chewing hard stem. It can chew hard stem, so strong teeth are provided. Long ears to hear the movements of predators. It can hear the movement of its predators because it is having long ears. Eyes at the side of head allows to look in all directions for danger, and it has such eyesight also, which helps it to see danger in all the directions. Now come predator and prey. A predator eats the prey. As we have studied in the previous part also. So a prey is eaten by the predator, or the predator eats the prey. The hunter is the predator. Predator is mainly a hunter, and the one who is hunted by the predator is the prey. Now comes aquatic habitat, which is ocean. Aquatic animals. Streamlined or boat-shaped body for easy movement in water. So, an aquatic animal such as a fish is having a streamlined or boat-shaped body, so it helps it in the movement in water, as aquatic animals are present in water. So, streamlined body shape help them to move easily in water. Gills for respiration. They are having gills so that respiration process becomes easy, and also body is protected by the scales. Now comes blowholes. Dolphins and whales have nostrils to breathe air from atmosphere called blowholes. So aquatic animals like dolphins and whales possess nostrils to breathe in air from the atmosphere, and such nostrils are called blowholes. Also, you should remember that shark does not have such blowholes or nostrils. Only those animals or those aquatic animals possess blowholes which are large in size and can bring their prey outside also. Now let's move on. Ponds and lakes. This is a pond. Everybody knows what is a pond and what is a lake. So let's learn about water plants which grow in these water bodies. So some have roots fixed in the soil. So these are mainly the adaptations of water plants, aquatic plants. And these kind of plants have such features which help them to live in or to survive in water. So these type of plants have roots fixed in the soil, and the examples are lotus and Vallisneria. You can see in this picture also. You can notice in this picture also that the lotus is also having fixed roots in the soil, and Vallisneria plant is also having fixed roots in the soil. Now comes some plants are floating, some aquatic plants are floating. So Salvinia, Pistia, water hyacinth are such plants which are floating in the water. In Vallisneria, the ribbon-shaped leaves can bend in water to prevent uprooting. So you should always remember that nobody can uproot Vallisneria plant easily because there are ribbon-shaped leaves which can bend in water, and thus they prevent uprooting. So stem of lotus is hollow, long and light. Now we are going to study about all of them in a kind of detail and collectively. So the stem of lotus is hollow, long and light. Hollow means empty from inside, long, and light weighted. Leaves are disc shaped, as you have seen when you draw it also. When you draw a picture of a lotus, the shape of its leaves is disc shaped, and leaves and flowers float on water. Both the leaves and the flowers float on water, as we have seen. Leaves have waxy coating to prevent water stagnation. These type of leaves of the lotus plant have waxy coating upon them to prevent the water stagnation. Leaf stalk is filled with air to help floating. This is the leaf stalk, you can see. Some are submerged, hydrilla plant. So some float on water. Some plants are like that. Their roots are fixed into the soil, and some are totally submerged in water. So the example of such submerged plants are hydrilla plant. Now let's read about frog. Frog is a kind of amphibian, as it can live both on water and in land also, and can breathe in both the conditions. So frogs can breathe in water and land, webbed feet to swim in water, strong back leg to take long leaps, sticky tongue to catch insects. So these were all easy. Characteristics of living things. Now we need to know the characteristics of living things. So first is all living things need food. Food is the source of energy. As we know that energy is required to do the work, and all living things do some work, so food is required. Second, living things grow. When they eat the food, then they produce energy, then they grow also. So living things grow. Now the next is living things respire also. They breathe also, they take oxygen also. So both plants and animals do respiration. We have seen during respiration oxygen is used and carbon dioxide is released. Living things respond to stimuli also. Insects like cockroach move away from light. If you have ever noticed that if there is a light bulb, as you can see in this picture, then if there are some cockroaches or insects, they will move away from the light. So in this way they are responding to stimuli, and some insects are attracted by light. If you have ever noticed, then mosquitoes are always attracted towards light. Plants too respond to light. Plants are also responding to light. And how? Some flowers like water lily blooms at night when there is a bit light, moonlight. So the flowers like water lily blooms at the night time, and lotus blooms in daylight. Leaves of a touch-me-not plant drops when touched. And if you have ever seen the touch-me-not plant, if you will touch that plant, then the plant's leaves will move away. So they are also responding to light. Lotus and water lily plant also. So this was all for today. Bye bye. Thanks for watching the video. If you like this video, then please like, share and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to press the bell button to get the latest notifications of our latest videos. That was all for today. Stay tuned with the channel to get more such videos.